Hey everybody, welcome back to Two Comic Book Dudes. It's not a Monday, but it should have been Monday. It was a little slow with this week. I got a new computer, so that's why I look so pale because I'm just so scared by the bill for the computer. But anyway, a little different. Hopefully things are a little smoother tonight. I'm Aaron Clutter, editor-in-chief of Comic Booked, and with me, as always, over here.
Hey, I'm Justin. I'm the managing editor over at Comic Book.
And tonight is just another Xenoscope Monday. We're actually doing 2 weeks worth of books, so we have 5 comics to talk to you about tonight. We have the seal of approval of Pat Shand as we move forward with this show, right? He loves our
Yeah, yeah.
the way we do things here, so that was cool.
If you haven't checked out that interview we have up, go ahead and check that out. It was 2 weeks ago.
I think so, yeah. For Family Pets, it was great.
Yeah, and that was awesome. That he gave us a compliment, and that's the best thing you can ever get.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, it was really good to talk to him. That looks like a great project, and that Family Pets actually comes out in August from Silver Dragon Books, which is the young adult
branch.
Branch, I guess, of Xenoscope.
Imprint.
So they're Imprint. That's right. They're branching off into doing some young adult books. And I think Pat's got a lot of other ideas about what he'd like to see move over into that imprint too. So that's pretty cool.
Right.
But yeah, so this week and last week we had 2 books last week. We had 3 books this week. So we will get started right away with just another Xenoscope Monday. And I'll throw up a little New York Comic Con exclusive from a couple years ago for Inferno, and with our own little extra tattoo there across her back. JAZM for just another Xenoscope Monday. Thank you. So first off, we're going to talk about The Little Mermaid. So Justin, you want to start with that one?
Sure. Let me go here. All right. Little Mermaid starts off where it kind of left off in issue 4. Erica was able to escape, and so she's in the ocean and just trucking along, getting as far away from there as she can. Kind of and embracing who she is as the what is she like?
The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid, but more of the mythical kind of like scary creature. Like she's got that in her too. Yeah. She's got more of the primal mermaid in her also. But as she's kind of going along, she's hearing this voice telling her that maybe she needs to go back. And I won't spoil where that voice is coming from, whether it's from within her or if it's an external source. But so she actually is going to go back and try to help out because she has the Knights, the Warriors of Atlantis, are fighting these genetic clones of her. Well, not really clones of her, but they were used in a genetic experiment.
Used her DNA.
Right, they used her DNA to augment these guys to make them like merman super soldier guys, right?
Mer monsters, yeah.
Mer monsters. Mer on you, sir.
That's
mer.
Right.
But
Captain Mermaidia and his mer monsters.
Merman. Oh. All right. Yep. So the King of Atlantis. It is Atlantis, right? I'm not wrong on that. It is.
Nope.
Okay.
It is Atlantis.
Okay. Pretty much comes down to when she gets back, he sees her, but of course something tragic is going to happen in this story. And then of course she lays waste to all of the merman monsters.
Yeah,
because that's what she does. That's what she does.
It's pretty wicked.
There's some more to it. I'll kind of leave off. What do you think about it,
Aaron? Meredith Finch did a great job with this series. This has been nonstop good all the way through. I look forward to the next installment of the Little Mermaid series. I think this is the second part. So Xenoscope's really good about doing like 3 chapters of every character. So they just finished up a couple weeks ago the last Jungle Book miniseries. So they had 3 chapters to that, and the end of that was awesome. And they've had another Little Mermaid series before this, and then this is the second Little Mermaid. It's really good, excellent series. I love the way it ended. I mean, it was pretty cool, and there's still so much unanswered. And
it leaves it open. It leaves it open for another series, definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And really, I see a lot of similarities between this series and The Wizard of Oz. the way they're doing the Wizard of Oz, because you got, in that same case, you got Dorothy kind of having to step into a role that Erica has to step into. So yeah, no crabs, no flounder, no albatross, nobody like that in this book. You're not going to find a bunch of fluffy things. In fact, for part of it, she doesn't even have her little seashell bra. So it's a very interesting story. It's well written, beautifully drawn. It's excellent. Definitely worth picking up. So if you can probably still go back and find the first 4 issues of this,
or get them from Zenesco's website.
Exactly.
You can't find them at your local store. They sold out. But I mean, just to add on to that real quick, this is The Little Mermaid. So when this came for us to review or take a look at, I was not really that enthused. So I was like, The Little Mermaid. But wow, it's a really, really good story. It really draws you in. It's not the movie in any way, shape, or form. It's way up.
When we first started talking about this, and Justin goes, do 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 do. It was funny. No, anyway. Yeah. But Little Mermaid #5 out last week. Definitely pick it up. So let's jump on to Realm War 10. We're coming down towards the finish line is in sight. We're sliding down the hill. This is 10 of 12. We're going to wrap up the Realm War Age of Darkness storyline and really find out what happened during that year in between the current continuity of some books, as we'll find out here when we talk about another book a little bit later, and what happened with the Realm War and all the realms merging together. So for those of you who haven't been reading this since the start, you can go back and check out my articles, and I think we reviewed 9 a month ago on our video as well. So you can check out Two Comic Book Dudes on YouTube and see our review of Realm War #9 a month ago. Yep. And then if you go to comicbook.com, you can check out all of our articles. I've been reviewing all the Zenescope books since last year. So yeah, even the dogs like it.
They did.
But yeah, you can check out every issue of every book that they've released since April of last year. So a lot of books. But this one, we have a lot of things going on. We have really Sela Mathers is coming to the end of her rope. She's just exhausted by this battle and everything that's happening. I mean, that she's fighting against people who used to be her friends, and there's just doesn't seem to be an end in sight and really no hope. And that's kind of where we're at this point, is even though they had these weapons that could defeat the other Highborns and possibly even take out the Dark Queen, it just doesn't seem to matter, because no matter what she does for the humans are always just like, yeah, you did that for me yesterday, but what are you doing for me today? And because of you, we're in danger, and so we want to get rid of you. So it's kind of a sad point in the whole thing. Cinderella shows up, Cindy shows up, and there's kind of an ultimatum delivered to the humans that if you give us Sela and destroy the weapons, then you can go free. But we already know that Dark Queen wants to kill him. A lot of big revelations in this issue, definitely, though, because we find out one of the big things why the Dark Queen was sacrificing all the people at the temple these last few issues ago, and how she's using their power to create these spirit monster things that are coming with really spirit jacks, I guess, to come with the Jack of Spades, or Spirit Spades, whatever, to fight against the last of the Realm Knights here.
Right.
So, what'd you think of this?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, we lost the character here, so that was kind of sad, but
that was unexpected.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. The Jack of Spades, that character, just the character design on that, I really, really like.
Yeah,
he's evil, and you can tell it. It's like he's not a happy guy.
And his origin story was in I don't know if it was in Realm War or if it was in like one of the one shots or Wonderland or something, because he had been a Highborn, and his Highborn ability was like to control people with his words, like to rally them to his cause, but he used it for his own like ill-gotten gains, and so he was punished basically by being turned into the Jack of Spades, and then the Dark Queen took him and has perverted him for her own purpose and given him extra power, and he's pretty wicked. So yeah, definitely a force to be reckoned with in this whole thing.
It was also weird seeing some of the characters that were on the side of evil. like Robin Hood.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was kind of odd, but overall, I mean, good. I'm looking forward to seeing how this wraps up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been good. All right, now we'll get to this week's books, which will actually come out Wednesday of this week. So we're not too far behind. We're only like a day or so off here. But Coven #1, the brand new series kicking off, and it heralds the return of Baba Yaga, who was definitely a favorite of mine a few, well, it seems like almost 6 months ago or so when she was killed. And I don't know, don't ask me why she comes back. She's just back in this book. Now, whether this is in regular continuity or it's in something else, I don't know. She's back in the woods. There's a bunch of witches. She's fighting against these guys who are called the Arcania Covenant, and they're almost like
Witch
they're like witch hunters, like the Crusaders, the Crusades guys, and they got like crosses on their outfits and everything. Definitely a holy kind of organization. So it's very interesting. There's some Liza Liza the Swamp Witch and Baba Yaga and her have to team up. I think that's Liza there on the cover, or maybe that's Avril. No, Avril was a redhead, right?
No, she's blonde.
She's blonde. Okay, so that must be Avril on the cover then. Avril is another witch who's just kind of a witch in training, but she seems to be some kind of focus of prophecy. So it's hard. It's hard to discern exactly where we are with this story. It's really good. First issue sets some stuff up, but we really don't know enough to be able to say if this is going to be a great story or if it's just going to be, a good one. So it's worth checking out. Even just the cover is amazing. I really like that cover.
Yeah. Same way. I like the, kind of going with the design thing again. I like the design of the Crusader guys.
Oh yeah.
Cool. And of course they're like main leader. I mean, the way they're using these symbols, I'm not sure if the triangle's been used in other things, but it's an odd which symbol to use. But overall, I just thought it was great. I'm really looking forward to the next issue. As far as jumping on, and this is a story that hasn't been told, so that was really cool because most of the Zenescope stuff I've been into, it's like there are series before this that I need to go back and read sometimes. So jumping on like a first one here, it being a launch issue was really cool.
Yeah, and definitely if you look down the bottom right-hand corner of the book, it is a launch issue. So anytime you see launch, that's a new series that Zenescope's kicking off. So it's a great point for any reader to jump on and start reading without having to feel like they've got to read a bunch of back issues. So it's definitely a good one. It's worth picking up that first issue.
Yep.
So now we get to one of your favorites and mine. Robin Hood, the ongoing. So number 12 is out this week, and that's another great Pat Shand series. Do you want to talk about this one? This is kind of the origin of the Rotter and his tale. It's pretty cool.
Yep. A Tale of Rot. Yeah, that's what this one is. I thought this one was great. It not going too far. So the Rot is basically this whole issue is to see if they can figure out a way to cure the rot in some way, shape, or form. The Rotter, sorry. Rotter,
yeah, that's okay.
And all the hoops they have to jump through to try to figure this out. And actually, it goes into his backstory. We get great details of his whole life and what led up to him becoming this way and things like that. So that was really interesting. This book kept me going. I really enjoyed it. Really, I don't know what else to say. I didn't understand, but okay. So there was one thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I'm going to ask while we're on here so that I don't forget. Marion's girlfriend,
Sam. Yep.
Sam. Is there something up with her?
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. She like a genie or something. Like she says, "As you wish," as like Marion's walking away. I thought it was kind of weird.
Well, they went to a movie.
Crap, they did. They saw The Princess Bride.
They saw The Princess Bride, right? So what does that mean? Anybody who's seen The Princess Bride knows that "as you wish" means "I love you." So, yeah, definitely. I love the homage to Princess Bride that was thrown in there because a lot of the lines are thrown out. But yeah, when as at one point Marion's like, "I've got to go," and she's I definitely want to do more of this, she says, and as Marion walks away, Sam says, "As you wish." And it's touching. It's good. It's a good addition to the series. I like Sam and Marion's little relationship. We'll see how that goes. If they can cope through some of the craziness that Marion's been through and is probably scheduled to go through, since we haven't had any real craziness for a couple issues now.
Yeah, that we have had a good pace of last issue. They had a job. This issue, they've kind of had a job. So,
yeah.
I'm kind
just
of
waiting for
the
other boot.
right. But it's the kind of good lull, but before the storm, and we're getting good character development and good maybe the overall plot isn't moving in the last two issues, but as far as just enjoying the characters, I think Pat Shane's doing a great job.
Yep, it's definitely a good story. I mean, it's developing the characters. I like that.
Right.
We don't have to have some big long story arc that they're focused on. All these little one-shot stories are good because they're developing some background of the characters too. Explaining who the Rotter is, and Nick. His name's actually Nick, which is interesting. You get a real name to go with the rotting face.
Right.
And you kind of find out some backstory about where he came from and what he was involved in before, and kind of what kind of person he was. And really that he wants some reconciliation. He wants some peace. He wants to solve this problem, undo this curse, whatever. So it's good. It's a sad story, but it's good. It's a good fit for the Robin Hood universe. I think it's pretty cool. So
yeah.
All right, and last but not least, Grim Tales of Terror number 12, and unfortunately, this is the next to the last book of this series. They're going to wrap this up with number 13 and be done with it. It's really sad. I love this series.
Oh, wow.
I've been reading this since it started, and I mean, this is one of the few I picked up 2 or 3 covers of as soon as it came out, because I was like, oh, this is so good. And I mean, it just reminds me so much of EC, Tales of Terror and House of Mystery and books like that, the old classic horror books. It's so good. You got Karis, who is the goddess of the death, I guess, and she pretty much left hell or wherever it is, the underworld that she was ruling, and decided she was just going to go for a walkabout. That's kind of what this has been. And she's traveled around the world. She's met different people, killed a lot of people, all the fun stuff that a goddess of death would do. So,
right.
This book has her dealing with the mob. Right, dealing, because she's a card dealer. Yeah,
I see what you did there.
Okay, that was sad. Anyway, yes, but she's a dealer at a casino, and these Russian mobsters come in and they're talking all about something that they did, and they hate to be this guy and whatever. And this one issue, this is very different than all the 11 issues before, because every issue before has been her doing something. Like one time she was a worker at a hardware store, and somebody came in to buy a shovel, and she told that person a story, and then at the end the woman was killed by a rack of shovels falling over on her head. So the story, though, was not about that person. It was related in a way. It was kind of like the moral to the story is don't do this, and then that person does it and they die. In this one, you really have a different type of story. So you have a story of a guy who was buried alive by the Russian mobsters because of something he did. And he figures out a way to get out and claws his way up through the dirt and goes to find his family and find out, how he can make amends. And the twist is in there, it's really cool. It's one of those but pretty good. So it's a different take on the story. Different take on the series, but I really liked it. It's definitely still a good one to pick up.
And like you said, because it's a different take, there's a little bit of a different twist at the end too.
Yep, definitely. So we'll have to see how it wraps up in a month with the last issue of Grim Tales of Terror, but definitely go out and pick up number 12. It was a good one. Definitely worth it. So, all right. Well, that's
Speculation on issue 13. Okay. Maybe she's finished with her walkabout and it's time to go back.
Maybe.
We'll find out in a month.
See what she does at home. So put on a little teddy and kind of relax by the fire of burning souls.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. So great stuff this week. Little Mermaid and Realm War 10 from last week, and then we had Robin Hood, we had Grim Tales of Terror, and we had
Coven.
Coven #1. How could I forget? That was an awesome book.
So good.
worth picking up. I'll tell you, I still have not read a bad Xenoscope story. I mean, I've read every book now since April 2014, and every time I like them. So
Yep.
maybe there's something wrong with me.
No, I feel the same way, and I've heard other people talk about them, and they like them too. That it's one of those things. Once you get into this world, their universe of it, you just really enjoy their characters. I think, and the way they portray them, the way they build their stories. So.
Yeah. Well, I know Pat Shannon, we had a good discussion about the covers and how there are people who really just collect Xenoscope for the covers.
Right.
And it's understandable. I mean, some of the covers are very sexy, very risque. But there's so much more to the Xenoscope universe than just the covers. And while it would be great if we could say, we don't need the covers anymore, let's just, sell the books on the story, it's not going to happen, because that's one of the drawing points for so many of the people who collect Xenoscope. I am members of a couple different Xenoscope fan groups on Facebook, and 80% of the posts are, look at this cover I got, look at this cover I got. And it's like, let's talk about the stories, because the stories are just so awesome. Strong female characters. I know I do this every time. Strong female characters, cohesive verse, though it's kind of breaking apart at the seams now, I feel like, because one thing I didn't mention with Robin Hood #12, and this is important, it is pre-Relmore.
Post.
No. Because if you notice, there's one line in there when the two things are talking to her, and they say, there is a war to come, and you're going to play an interesting role in that war, the role that you don't want to play. And we already know that she's given over to the Dark Child prophecy thing with the Dark One. So that prophecy from these two little things is pre-Relmore. So then I'm trying to figure out, what's going on here, because I thought when Pat started this series.
So is Grimm Fairy Tales the main series? Is it the only one that's ahead?
That's a year, maybe. But if it is, then this is actually like set back more than a year ago. So we don't know if they're going to have a gap where once Relmore ends, is this series going to stop and then jump ahead a year because Relmore would have happened during that year.
Right.
Should have been on our list to ask Pat.
Well, maybe we can get him on again and actually talk about Xenoscope.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
So, but just something for you guys to think about out there too, because a lot of these things, as you're reading through the books, oh, wait a minute, why are they talking about something that hasn't happened, or talking about something that's already happened like it hasn't happened yet? Most of the other books we see, like Grimm Fairy Tales, especially, we're looking back on Relmore as it's already happened, everything's been resolved, and all of these people who were dead are now back alive again, and I'm still confused by half of that. So, but anyway, what started all this? Strong female characters, cohesive universe. Affordable books too, and really high quality publishing. They do a great job. There's only been a couple times I've had to send Pat an email and go, hey, on this page, you had words messed up. Or one time his wound was on the left shoulder and now it's on the right shoulder. And he's like, oh crap, we'll fix that in the trade paperback, Anyway, but great quality books. Really like them. Check them out at Xenoscope.com. Check out our articles at comicbook.com. Go on, definitely subscribe, like, share, do all that good stuff on our YouTube videos. If you subscribe, then you'll never miss one. You'll always be able to find out when we got a new one up. And look forward to more Xenoscope next week.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Leave a comment.
Definitely.